You said on your Twitter, I saw this: men play chess, women play checkers. I was curious. I was curious. What do you mean by that?
So, like, my dad raised me to understand that men play chess and women play checkers, so that they have a completely different line of thinking than women do. And I didn't really used to like understand what he was talking about, but as I got older, I did, and especially the last couple of years, I see in real time every day men creating circumstances for things that women don't see, whether it be positive or negative. And men are meant to do that, he said, because they are the leaders in the home, so they're supposed to create the circumstances for their family's success, and they do that by chess. And it happens completely unbeknownst to women because we just don't think in that way, and that's a good thing. Like, they have a very like a strong ability to compartmentalize and so that they can keep going in difficult situations and hardships that chisel them rather than cripple women, right? Just that's how they become great men and fathers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you give an example of what does it mean women play with chess? Like,
you
women,
mean men play chess?
Yeah.
And women, okay,
checkers,
so
sorry. Women play checkers.
for
What does that mean?
example,
Does anybody play like tic-tac-toe in this? Like, who's
I
playing
mean, they
tic-tac-toe?
might. I don't
Kids
know.
play the tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But an example of this, I would say, is a lot of women feminists who are in power. A lot of times they think that they are the ones pulling the strings and making decisions, and men are giving them positions of power so that they can feel like they're making good moves. Whole time the men are behind the scenes pulling the strings on what they're doing, and even actually more in control than they understand them to be, and just using the women as a pawn. So they're playing chess in real time and moving all the pieces on the board. Meanwhile, the women think they're making decisions, but the men are just setting them up to do exactly what they want, whether they decide to submit or not. So a lot of women are like, oh, I would never submit to a man, but in actuality, either with men in society, whether you choose to submit or not, they're gonna make you submit. Like, you either choose to submit to a husband and a father who loves and cares about you and God, or you're gonna submit to someone in corporate America that's just gonna play chess moves with you for their own benefit and their own family. So that's a real-time example. Judges, lawyers, whatever.
Word? Now, do any of the girls disagree with her?
I would say I agree with most of what Keisha said. I would push back a little bit. Like, I don't think that we should underestimate the capabilities of some women. I would say that overall, many women, especially when they're younger, when they're younger girls, I could see them being kind of like that, that same thing you're talking about, where they're playing checkers and they're not thinking things through. But I think as women get older and they start to become more mature in business and other different things, they can start to see things through. But I think you're right in that men do kind of have innate talent for seeing things down. But I wouldn't disregard that there are women that are capable of some of those things as well, especially women that work in intelligence.
Yeah, but they're the outliers.
Right.
It's like everyone always wants to point to the outliers, but they are outliers for sure.
Well, if I could interject, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm not actually undermining women's capability and capacity when I say that they play checkers. I'm actually speaking to the greater point of the individuality and the way that God created man and women, and the power that women have when they come to understand that they don't think like men and they're not men, because then you're able to work most efficiently with men, and you're able to just do your own, like, for example, I learned this working with my dad the last couple of years. I might tell something to my dad like, oh, Dad, like, this is gonna happen. Like, I know for sure, like, I can see this coming down the line. And he's like, okay, Keisha, chill. And I'm like, come on, man, like, I know what I'm talking about. And in a couple of weeks it might happen, and I tell him like that, I told you that was gonna happen. He's like, Keisha, that's cool, but I needed to demonstrate every step of the way exactly how this happened, the who, what, when, where, why, how, and all you were looking at was the end result. And I see a lot of times women, we look at the outcome rather than the steps to get there, and we don't know the steps, which is why we're really bad at creating solutions. Women just want to feel better. men actually want to create the solution to solve the problem. So men play chess because they pull the strings on many situations and literally create the circumstances for that success in real time and mitigate the problem, the consequences of the problem in real time. Women cannot do that. I've come across multiple women in multiple different areas of life. I've never ever seen a woman beat a man at chess. And it doesn't matter how smart the woman is or how smart the man is. It has nothing to do with IQ. It's simply the way that men think versus the way women think. We're just different. And I'm glad we're different, because when I see all the things that my father does on a day-to-day basis to work, like he gets up, he like does his smoothie, does his workout, he goes, works like 16 hours a day, does another like exercise, 2 Bible studies during the day, has constant attacks continuously, and he's still going like a machine. He can do all of that, but I'm sitting here like, okay, I need to take a nap. You know, and I'm not like dumb in any capacity, but it's just, sorry. It's just the fact that they have that ability to make a lot of things happen regardless of what's going
You're
on.
speaking in nature, the ontology. You're not talking, so you're saying by nature, the nature of these things are totally different.
Well,
Yeah, because God created us. I mean, God created us that way.
Sorry, I did not mean. I accidentally pressed that. I was just switching the camera angles, but I accidentally pressed the button. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, it is true, though, that men and women think differently. I
Yes,
will say
yeah.
that is true, and that they each have their strengths and their weaknesses. Like, one example, really in the roles that I think God wanted us to really portray and fulfill in our lives, like even I naturally find it's very easy to multitask as a woman versus my husband. He can't, cook and watch the kids and, clean or do this and do a million different things at the same time. He has to be able to have quiet and focus on one thing, whereas with women, we are naturally wired to be able to do things, and that's because our brains are slightly different, and then we have more interconnecting nerves between both sides of our left and right hemisphere of our brain. So
Yeah, but she's talking about something different. She's going deeper than that. She's talking about the nature itself from its being, its state of being, and saying that within men's nature on this planet, their nature is to look at a situation and then they're mitigating bad outcomes and maximizing good outcomes.
Right.
And that women are generally not doing that. They're just benefiting from the either good outcome or the bad outcome. I think that's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned that men don't multitask. I think they do it in a different way, because like I said, like watching my dad over the past couple of years lose absolutely everything, filing things in court, doing his mechanical engineering, still trying to mitigate my life and my sister's and his and everyone around him, and doing everything to help all these different people at the same time while maintaining his physical, mental, and emotional health. I think that men, they multitask in a way that's protective, in a way that benefits the system as a whole. Like everything that they have to do is not just going to benefit them in that moment. It's benefiting long term and just destroying the attacks in real time from multiple different angles. So I think we were created to do 2 different things, and they're equally as valuable. So women playing checkers is just as valuable as chess, but it has to work together in order to make the system move the way it needs to.